I'm the voice. This is Divi Updates, episode 26. Turns out it's an American right to have crypto. How's it going, Rob? How's it going, Neegs?
It's going good. There, that's my intro.
It's going well. Summer is here.
It is here.
The rights are coming.
I can't help.
The rights to hold are coming in US apparently and build. So that's great.
Yes, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe, exactly.
Let's see. You want to talk about that first? Like some of the SEC
Well,
stuff.
we
We
can-
can get to other stuff later.
I mean, maybe like someone is actually very happy. Like maybe we can talk about
Yeah.
that. We can start with that.
Yeah, let's start with the happiest of happy
Sure.
people, right?
I mean,
That would
I
be good.
too would love to come out of an enclosure and be granted 300 Bitcoin. That would be nice too. I would love it.
That's right. That's right.
Steve, why don't you
True.
tell us what happened?
I mean, I don't know if I would like to come out of jail. Like I'm good out. I don't want to get in there.
You're good out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right.
But yeah,
True.
I think a lot of people
Yeah.
would agree to go there for 300
For
Bitcoin.
300 Bitcoin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ross Ulbricht, the founder of Silk Road, who was arrested a long time ago, spent a lot of time in jail and then pardoned by Trump, now received 300 Bitcoin from an anonymous donator. So that's great for him.
Yep. And so I think Chainalysis is saying it's Alpha Bay, but I think it's not quite. I don't think that. I think that link is tenuous.
Yeah.
But
Right.
So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, so
Maybe
apparently
more.
it's coming. It has come through a mixer and
Yeah.
Chainalysis, which is like a very prominent blockchain analysis company.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's identifying that it would be related to Silk Road. They're not affirmative though. And then Zach XBT, who is also a very prominent investigator on every blockchain moves, every time there is a hack and things like that, he's saying it is not linked to that.
Yeah.
It's linked to wallets that were active during his jail time.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Chainalysis has made claims in the past that they can see through mixers, and so
Right.
like, let's not forget, Bitcoin is a public blockchain. It's a ledger available to everyone, and even small changes or breaking stuff up into small amounts, affects is trackable.
Sure.
I'm surprised that if that's what they were trying to do, I'm surprised that they didn't go through an actual privacy coin, like criminals do. Like that's what Monero is for.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it that way, but that's what they use it for. But in the end, I mean, somebody gave him 300. You can't, if you have a public wallet, in fact he does, you can't stop people from sending you money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say no. You can return
I don't know
it,
if he
suppose.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wouldn't either.
It's just
like,
odd that the addresses that were used were dormant for such a time. One of them for a very long time before those deposits were made, right? That's what Zach was noticing, is that one of them was it originated from that exchange or an exchange transaction in 2014. I don't know. That's just
Right, but he said that part of the funds were coming from wallets that were active when he was in jail with buying.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wouldn't connect. But anyway, in any case, I think it's good for him.
I mean, honestly, it's probably his own money. Like what the feds didn't take.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely send money to people and then they send it back. Like all of that's possible. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But actually, it goes on to the next topic, which is the SEC roundtable with the declaration of the new head of the SEC. That is actually in line with Ross Ulbricht not being in jail for building a marketplace.
True.
So now basically it's not rules yet. It is just basically opinions, but they are declaring that they want to boost innovation in crypto. And by that, they mean that self-custody wouldn't be attacked, building software like an exchange and even a mixer wouldn't put the developer in as a criminal. Like it wouldn't transform the developer as a criminal as long as the criminal is not the developer is not doing criminal acts. Making those tools wouldn't be seen now as enabling criminal activity, but definitely innovation and technology that is sometimes used for bad things, like everything.
Correct. And it's got the framework, of course, in their conversation, it is still just a roundtable, but the language they're using is very strong. The right to have self-custody of one's private property is a foundational American value. So they're using terms like that. And
I mean, that's good. That's
voluntary.
awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear, especially with all of this yammering about, especially from the Elizabeth Warren faction about banning that. And they could definitely make a law, without a doubt. They could make a law that you're not allowed to self-custody crypto.
Well,
I don't think it'll be popular.
Gnats have freedom, so gnats can say things and bother you, and you can shoo them away. Right. They have freedoms too.
Yeah, but gnats don't have the power like some of the. I mean, I don't know if our circles recognize that people like Elizabeth Warren and that whole faction have giant communities behind them.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm millions of people who absolutely think that like she is spouting like golden words, and that they're like, oh, she's so smart because of these things. She sees things like. I like our industry very much doesn't hear that is happening, but it is absolutely happening. And so and it's not fear, it's more disdain that I feel when I hear those things. And so now I'm pleasantly surprised to see politicians doubling down on the idea of that property is property and you get to own it and people shouldn't be able to take it away from you. So despite the government going in and taking Ross Ulbricht stuff, but whatever.
We can tell by the wording in this that she was as far away from this topic as possible when this was written.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, definitely.
And so in that declaration, there are a few really critical things. One that kind of came out of the news since now a while, but was actually a major problem a couple of years ago, and it is staking as a service. So the SEC declared, or I can't remember exactly the way it happened, but basically they hinted at the fact that staking as a service would be a security, like holding security, and you would be not an intermediary. And basically it completely stopped that activity everywhere. Like a lot of issues happened. Like I remember at the time we were helping Divi Labs, and they lost a partner to create some service, some product that they wanted to release, and unfortunately they weren't able to release that product. And so now they're saying that they're clarifying that it is not a security. And people like companies or service providers that would be providing this service wouldn't be criminal, like wouldn't be liable for criminal activity.
And it's it's broad. It's broad, actually. Yes. It goes to protect the entire industry, right? Since we're talking about Divi is a validator, but Divi is also kind of a miner, a virtualized miner. Divi is staking, self-custody, right? Staking as a service is usually a custodial situation. It's all about voluntary participation. You're either a miner, you're a validator, or you're using staking as a service. Agreeing with you 100%. The whole scope is outside of what anybody could do, or anybody should do to any service like that, attacking them in some way, especially the SEC. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm again, my general position is I'm against laws, but if you're going to have them, I'm wondering why the custodial staking isn't regulated in some way. Like, to me, you're holding somebody's property and I know it's kind of like between you and them, like that whole stake count thing, right? Like if they lose them somehow.
Well,
The nice
because
thing
some
about
staking as a service isn't custodial. Some staking as a
right, like
service.
ours, yeah, like
Well,
Divi vaults, right?
ours is, you're right. There is a service related aspect to it, but
Yeah,
custody is always with the coin owner. There are some services where you temporarily, there's a word for it and I don't remember it, but you temporarily lose access to your coins. Some of that would be like in Tezos, right? Who won a court case, at least two people who were staking, being bakers in their service, but you lose access to those coins for a term they would use that's similar to like an epoch or something like that.
oh, I mean like a lockup period.
Like a lockup period. And
Yeah,
so some of the
yeah,
chains and services that do that, that still wouldn't be in this. But I agree with you when you say staking as a service, where I have a pool and I use your coins and I'm taking the payment from the blockchain and then I'm giving a piece to everybody else. I know there's services that do that, and that to me falls under Howie. It's no different to me than me
So
managing
I
your
think
orange
you're
Vinger.
so the
I
fact
don't.
that the person is custodian is not addressed in
Correct.
that statement, right?
Oh, you
Like
think that's a
Correct.
separate set of
yeah,
rules
yeah,
I
that
think
deal with
so.
custodianship?
exactly. It
Okay.
doesn't say that they will be unregulated, right?
Correct.
It just says that proof of work, mining, validators, miners, and proof of stake are not
Yeah.
within the scope of the federal
Correct.
securities laws. It doesn't mean
Correct.
that it will be unregulated, but it's not part of the SEC.
That's interesting.
Correct.
I
That's
mean, it
true.
doesn't really
That's
matter, right? Because
yeah.
because they can regulate it all they want. People are still going to use the cheaper one, and it's going to be just as easy to get a, I don't know, like a Ugandan staking company as it is an American one. It'll be easier, in fact, if they regulate the American ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
if it matures, right, you will have a higher risk there. Like it is, I think it does provide some kind of guarantee for people who want to have the guarantee that they're using like a proper service. But obviously, reputation, I think, is the most important.
I'd say there is a guarantee if we start seeing FDIC insurance on stakers or something like that. But if if a staking fails or loses coins or whatever, not by theft, by accident,
Yeah.
or whatever, or hack or whatever, I'm not really sure you get much more confidence. You shouldn't.
Sure,
Yeah.
but
Well, there are
usually,
companies who do
like
insure that kind of stuff.
like that would be on the, I think that's on the user's responsibility, right? Like if you're
Right.
using a service where you will put your coins there, probably now you want to see one that is actually insured,
Yeah.
FDIC or
So
not. Like it has an insurance that if
right. So
anything happens, yeah.
you didn't need laws at all then. Like it's always on you,
Oh,
whether the laws exist
I'm
or
not
not.
for laws, but
I
but this is
think when it comes down to
look,
it, we
I think
say
it's interesting because it's
Yeah.
always the two sides, right? Like now,
Yeah.
this will enable a lot of businesses that were basically doing that under the radar in a gray area to now have actual insurance, to have a bank account because they will be recognized as a legitimate business. So potentially, it will open a lot of things for crypto businesses,
Could you
but obviously
imagine that?
now puts the state hands in all
Yeah.
that.
So,
And
so
we'll
to
see
be
how.
clear, I'm for laws that make something no longer illegal. So
Right.
or unknown, or have an unknown legality. I'm not against laws I'm sorry, I am against laws that like control or define how you need to do it.
Right.
And so
Right.
like blockchain has now kind of gone from we don't know its legality to we know its legality. I'm for those laws.
Yeah.
I'm just against the upcoming laws that are inevitable that'll say you got to do it like this. And it's inevitable. It's going to come.
And I think these statements is actually on the right side because there
Correct.
are
Yeah.
mentions like self-executing software system have proven resilient,
Yeah.
while centralized platform wavered and failed under recent stresses. there are really clear wording about the separation of software that operate automatically without intermediary and software that do have intermediaries. So I think it is a very, very good approach. I'm not for regulation, but I think if there has to be one, that's probably the best it can be. If I read that statement,
it's a pretty awesome statement. You read it. That point that they are standing on pretty much stresses that centralized financial systems that collapse, that are not recoverable because of whatever reason, redundancies or otherwise, or attacked or otherwise. We can talk about an exchange that just had that happen, right? But on-chain historical data and uptime is consistent. It's just amazing that more people don't read that, see it, hear it, respect it, understand it, are amazed by it. And they should be, because your bank, your credit card, your whatever it is, your financial system with your state that you're involved with, these systems break down sometimes. And then you're put in difficult situations to where it takes years sometimes to rectify those things, where if it's on chain, you can see it right there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
prove it right.
It's a complete paradigm change. I mean, it's so it's not a to be in the law yet, like it's a statement, but I mean, there are mentions of open source code, self-executing software. Like it is a complete change, like paradigm change, right? It's really interesting to see that.
Yeah, definitely a shift in the attitude. So to clarify my previous statement, the laws I like are the ones that double down on negative rights, support negative rights, which are ones that you have to enforce yourself, essentially, and don't enforce positive rights, which are the bane of our existence. And so
that makes sense.
That's basically the way I look at that.
That makes sense.
Now,
and look, I think for Divi, let's talk about what it means for Divi, because in reality, there is always there was always this gray area about how it works for token, how it would work also for our sidechain, and also for our partner. And for us, it's really a great news. Like it's great news.
It is really great news.
Yeah, gates are totally open. Yep. And so it's good for builders. It's good for everyone.
It's good for investors. It's good for everybody.
Yeah,
that's really a great thing.
That is good. But so I'm going to ask you a question, because this covers a lot, right, in terms of what DeFi is. And so what I'm going to ask this: what do you guys think isn't DeFi but is blockchain, crypto, or Web3? What's not DeFi in our space? Because I definitely have an opinion, which is definitely not yours.
NFTs.
No, why? Those have value. You trade those.
Yes, but they're not digital currencies.
Depends. Yeah, I think you get into the marketing part of this industry, right? Like it's like staking, DeFi, Web3. Those words are all thrown without really a very clear meaning by those who use them. But in reality, DeFi is just decentralized finance. So it's basically everything that is like crypto based, basically, right?
So that's exactly my worry, right? So if they're going to start regulating around DeFi, and there's no line between DeFi and other things in crypto, then gloves are off. We can regulate everything inside the industry unless we define what is or is not. So for me, as an example, trading platforms are definitely DeFi. Like Uniswap, definitely DeFi, without a doubt. Stable coins are definitely DeFi, even though they have a centralized aspect to them. All RWA has a centralized aspect to it. But for me, layer one blockchains, infrastructure, bridges, gaming assets, all that kind of stuff, I would consider that not DeFi. But I don't think there's a line in the sand that says something is one and not the other.
I think the most broadest sense, and it has been a topic since the genesis of Bitcoin, and even before that by many other crypto anarchists out there. But Bitcoin is the most basic version of decentralized finance. So I think we could probably bring it out as broad as you want. And so meme coins would still be part of decentralized finance. Tokens would still be part of it. But in NFT, again, it's not used as a digital currency. It's a non-fungible thing. It's not really part of DeFi, in my opinion, but I think it'll maybe come out with clarity.
So I think
your statement about USDT would be they are decentralized finance.
I mean, yeah, part of it is decentralized, part of it is centralized, and I think this is all also very blurry. But in reality, I think if you look at Web3, that's basically decentralized internet, like every service that is on the decentralized internet, and DeFi is the decentralized finance, and coins are somewhat like a financial asset. So it could be argued that it is decentralized finance. And if you, like you were talking about games, or what was the other example that you mentioned, Rob?
For me, it's like, it's layer ones, bridges, gaming assets.
Oh, bridges.
I'm with you on NFTs. Like, I don't think that's DeFi.
But see, bridges are also like a financial tool to move your money around, right? Like,
but all of these things are all of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that it's also, I think, because of our current time, and basically every time there is something in crypto, there is a value that is attached to it. And maybe at some point it will grow beyond being just like mainly decentralized finance. But even if you do something that's not related to finance right now and it's crypto, you basically make a token. So that kind of blurs the line.
There's that dumb part too. But I mean, like even Ethereum name service, like that, those different name services ones, you can.
But that's a utility. I wouldn't consider that part of DeFi.
I'm saying it's not part of DeFi, but you can even make a case that is.
I don't know. I think it's just such a collective term for these kinds of financial services where I'm agreeing with you. ENS isn't a financial service, but you can make it a financial service if you decided that you wanted to buy my ENS domain name, and we could go to a portal, and then we could both come together in a decentralized transaction where you sent me 25 ETH. I'd be very happy. You can have the voice.ens. That'll be great. So
the flag I'm raising, and I wish more people would, is that if you're not defining what is and isn't DeFi, then everything crypto will be DeFi, and they will happily. Trump will be out of one day. We'll get some, Warren acolyte in there, and they're going to say, "Yeah, all that's DeFi. We're regulating all of it," and
and that covers too much then.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. So I think people should be leery about what they call DeFi and stop. For me, I think we should call DeFi stuff where you're actually doing financial transactions like trading or being a marketplace, that kind of stuff. But creating an NFT, creating art, creating gaming assets, like those in and of themselves should be outside of that perimeter.
Yeah, I don't think those are like the creators, but like if like reading the text is really an SEC text, so it's really DeFi, right? They're really focusing on the financial aspect. They're not really talking about the people who actually provide service on blockchain or assets on blockchain, right?
Yeah, so, except our industry goes for monetization.
Yeah, but then but then now it's SEC, right? But if you don't start a token, you sell things on any marketplace, you're not really DeFi, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the good things about Divi sidechains is like you don't need to create new tokens. You're just using Divi. Just make services that use Divi.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to do something else. You don't have to make a new token or anything.
You could be your own DeFi baron.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So looks like we're back in the game on Bitcoin. Back to 110K. I mean, it's down again, but we're up.
Was 110 when I took the note.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think it is now. It is 109.6. So
Yeah,
we're close. Yeah, we're close. We're still close. No, 108.8. Sorry, you dropped while I was watching.
Stop watching.
Yeah. And then you're right. Like now, people are calling for 1 million again. Seriously, why do you guys watch KOLs? Like,
so I don't know if it's again right. Like
that's how I
before,
buy.
People were calling for 100,000. What did you say?
Sorry.
He said that's how he buys.
That's how I buy.
Yeah.
I wait for an influencer to tell me to buy.
No. Not a good tip. Don't follow that one.
Don't follow that tip.
That's why
what do you mean? What do you mean? Rising tide lifts all ships. I've been following this influencer. And look at my numbers are up.
I mean, we've seen that all around the ecosystem. But yeah. So no, I was saying that before the consensus, if I could say, because before some rare people were calling for 1 million, but the consensus was like 100K, 120 or things like that. But now, like the consensus is next step is 1 million. Like it seems a lot of people now are claiming that, and I
that's a huge jump, though.
Yeah. So hang on. Maybe there might be. I don't know what you heard or read. There might be nuance to it. So I do think 1 million is likely, just not in now, like in 8 years.
Of course.
So that's possible. The other is, so I've been traveling a lot and listening to people. Most people I'm listening to have been and still are focused around a 200K number. I'd say plus or minus. I say plus 50K, plus 50K minus 20K. Like that's the range I'm mostly hearing. And I don't read a lot of people's opinions on Twitter, so maybe I'm not exposed to that like you are.
Missing out.
But as I go to these events, for me it's been pretty consistent since last year about hitting the 200K region, and then like now we're on the way to that. That said, while I was scrolling Twitter today, Peter Brandt said, "Oh, are we at the point where we're going to see a 75% drop now?" Because he's comparing to 2022. I think I think that's what he was doing.
Okay.
He was calling a peak, and he's well known for calling the 2018 peak. I don't know if he's been right ever since then. Like stop clock kind of thing, but he just posted that today. So who knows? I don't.
Well,
I do not claim
a lot of things, and I mean, there are not any indicators that show the top. Like I don't know if you remember, but when there is a top, usually there is a crazy thing that is crap and that has a lot of popularity.
Yeah,
I don't really see that now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I think we're not there yet.
There's no Ape coin right now, or Pepe, or whatever it was last time.
I mean, they are everywhere, but it's not all over the place. One that is getting that big support that you don't understand why.
Right. You actually posted a website in our chat of a place that has a bunch of different indicators. And they're all kind of bizarre indicators, but all of them are bullish. Like 100% of them are bullish.
Right.
You just
does that mean we sell now?
Yeah. I shared that earlier. Yeah.
No, I don't think you do. But I think because we haven't had the thing Niggs was talking about yet. We got to find the stupid thing that's popular. Then you can start selling.
The taxi driver starts mentioning Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's that too, right? I don't know.
So we were talking about the 100K to 1 million. I mean, obviously they're not saying that tomorrow, but before the big thing was, so when we were at like 10K, right? 10, 50K after the top, people were like, yeah, the next one will be like at 60K, 80K, and even 100K was not a lot of people were saying that, right? Now we are at 100K, and there are a lot more people that are calling 1 million that I would have expected. And of course, it's not in this cycle, but
not this cycle.
No,
okay.
Then, not this cycle.
Yeah, that's totally possible. Absolutely.
Well, some people are calling it during Trump's presidency. That's been a theme from some KOLs that they say during Trump's presidency, it could hit 1 million, right?
I don't think it makes sense if you look at the history. I don't think that makes sense.
The first time Bitcoin hit 10K was in 2017. Okay, so it's what, 8 years ago, and now we're at 100K, right? So it took 8 years to do 10x, right? So
and do you think it will be longer for 10x?
That's what you think. Interesting.
It takes longer for each octave or each decade or each whatever. Each time takes longer for that same amount of.
I see why you say that, right?
Yeah, I did that myself. I looked at the multiplier for each peak from the previous one. So the first peak was obviously infinite, right? Because there wasn't anything before that one. And then the next one was like 11,000x or something like that. And then the next one was like 400x. I'm not doing these right numbers correctly, but it was something like that. So the rise over the last peak drops each time. So the next peak we see, the ratio of the top of that peak to the previous one, that ratio will be smaller each time. And so to expect that a decade happens in the same amount of time that's not the history. And so I don't know why we would see that.
So I understand what you say, right? Like, and I'm most likely aligned with that. However, I think there is still a scenario in which there is so much of a change, because what you described keeps some kind of linear move. But there could be such a big change in the place Bitcoin takes that there is actually a major spike.
Yeah, my numbers are all pre-BlackRock, right? And now, and pre-Sailor, right? And so maybe it's different now. That's totally possible. Yeah.
So interesting, because now there would be a lot of people that have now an incentive for it to go up. And I mean, Bitcoin could become a too big to fail asset, which is pretty insane to say.
Rally around to support it.
You see, right? That would be insane.
Freaking hilarious. Pelosi will be rolling in her grave. What? That's funny. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Divi.
Cool. So I'll provide an update on the marketing. So basically, I gave the first payment to the marketing agency. We got into an agreement to do that in step to make sure that we can prepare the work now and then be ready for when the market is ready. As you have seen, the market is kind of recovering. We don't have that many shots for success with the budget we have. So we're not in a hurry. We're doing that calmly. Yeah. And we will do that when it's the right time. And so basically now we have secured, there will be some publication on multiple news outlets. And also we'll have some influencers that will post content on Twitter, YouTube. And we'll also have some activities with Quest for the community, but also on social media for people to follow, potentially earn something to get a lot of activity around Divi. And then, of course, there will be Twitter posts, and we'll continue producing the video content. We're also talking about creating a ton of articles like we did for Divi 3.0. It worked really well at the time. So basically, we're gearing up for when the market is ready. But yes, everything is moving forward on that side. Rob, you were in Vegas last week. Tell us about that.
I was. I'm still following our partner around. And they went to Bitcoin Vegas. I'll just say a few things. One, I've been to Vegas twice before. One when I was 13, and it was that's not what it looked like. And once like 8 years ago for a conference or a convention, actually, for heat treating in my prior life. And I don't even remember where I stayed then, but it was a lot more like what it was like now, but there was more smoke. But I am still baffled by Vegas. I do not understand. Like, it's just me. I'm not a gambler. And I even went to a pitch competition, and there's probably like 50 or maybe 70 people there. And the guy holding the competition, looked out and asked everybody, like, did anybody go gambling last night? This is all crypto people in there. Not one hand rose.
They're gambling all the time.
Wow.
Not one.
They're gambling all the time.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That's right. Our entire industry is a huge risk, right? And now when I went to the Bitcoin convention itself, it was in a hotel called Venetian. I will say it was clear that those tables, not the slot machines, that I just do not understand at all. Sitting there and pressing a button for hours it's just I can't understand this mindset. Like, nobody can explain it to me other than invoking mental health issues, because I just don't understand slot machines at all. The tables where there's craps or cards or whatever, that's more social, and I sort of get it, and people get excited when people get a run. And I did definitely see crypto people there, like, because they're still wearing their t-shirts and so forth, but not close. Like, in other hotels that were not the Venetian where this was held, like, it was just people who clearly were not part of like a crypto thing. It's weird. Like, it looked like crypto people are not gamblers. I will say, since I went to Bitcoin last year in July, and I went to Bitcoin this year, I can kind of compare. I will say that I really found the actual convention itself better last year, more kind of authentic and organized, around. I mean, it wasn't chaos this time, but just really kind of like had more stuff from miners and supporting mining, more things like that. This one kind of had more, I would say, I don't know, blockchain adjacent kind of businesses, security companies, custody companies, kind of DeFi companies. There's other stuff there. Oh, there was also like this company that accepts Bitcoin, and they build these geodesic homes out of ceramics for you. Like, there's stuff like that there, like literally nothing to do with crypto, but they took it. They were just demonstrating it there. So there's a Cybertruck with a pop-up camper in it. I don't know why that was there. So it's just, so there's other stuff there. I did buy a BitAxe there, which was fun. If you don't know what a BitAxe is, it's this tiny miner that makes no money because it costs more in energy than the Bitcoin you get. But it's kind of fun. I mean, it's fun. Like, you could power, it only uses 20 watts. So you really could put a small solar panel out and power that thing. And then you would be making money. And it's it makes a huge, like, 20 cents a week or some number like that, maybe 50. I can't remember. So it's more about learning and less about making money. But it's really kind of cool. It's well designed. And I like that thing. So there's a bunch of like things like that there. I went to a few of the speeches. I saw Ross Ulbricht speak. I found it super stereotypical, like, not, it's about freedom, and it sucked when I was in jail, and feeling of freedom, and we got to hold on to freedom. It was exactly what you would expect.
That's what I talk like. So you're making fun of me now.
Sorry, but I mean, I could have put into ChatGPT, what's Ross gonna say, and that's what he said. Like, I personally already think, like, I don't know. I just didn't get inspired by it. It was neat to see him. They had a whole animation, like, movie before he spoke. I kind of like showed the jail conditions that I suspect looked way worse than they actually were. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been to jail, so. But then I didn't see JD speak at an event I went to. Vivek spoke. Now, I like. He is actually quite super eloquent, super smart, very inspiring. I wish there was more Vivek and less most of the other people.
Interesting.
He's super. He's excellent. So there's a lot of these events around. So there's the main event where you can see the big people speak. Michael Saylor also spoke. Again, these are really like, I'd say Bitcoin has become very industrialized. I know a lot of people who are into Dash and Bitcoin Cash and so forth. They kind of say things like, Bitcoin's a CDBC at this point. And like that convention didn't alter their opinion about that very much at all, because it really is, it's not a government asset, but it's very government embraced right now. I did meet a few maxis, which was fun. Like I met a guy who just said crypto is money and there's no other use for it, and I'm like, it's information. It's an indelible ledger of information, and you can use that for other things besides store of value. And he just wasn't hearing it. It was my first real maxi. So, so that's kind of how that went. As far as the partner, I would say the traction is finally being had. They're finally getting in front of more important people. There's offers happening now that that we're working through. When we're eventually allowed to list the names that they're talking with, you'll recognize them. Other than that, it looks like it's all finally moving along. It was very difficult. I think I posted this in the Telegram. It's been a difficult year. Even though last year Bitcoin went from like 25 to 70 and then it went to 100, it wasn't the launching people were expecting back when Trump spoke at the last Bitcoin conference. Like that should have been like this freaking launch pad to the, like, not the moon, like freaking Jupiter. But it didn't happen. And there's all this buying by Saylor and BlackRock and all this kind of stuff to support it, but it didn't happen. And
then people go, why didn't it happen?
Like today I saw that, like, why are we here at 100? Today I saw that same exact thing. And so investors, so I talked to a lot of investors around, like at all of these events around the world. And so I'm going to reiterate, one thing. All of this, like, it's the U.S. crypto is not the entire thing, and that's an important part, because while all the U.S. people I met were super jazzed by Trump speaking last time, all of this traction inside traditional finance, like the crypto summit. If you listen to Brock Pierce, he whenever that crypto summit was it March 9th or whatever? He looks at March 9th like freaking like the first July 4th. Like he looks at that as like when crypto was let free in America. And I guess there's some truth to that from what we're seeing now. But the world has not. The world looks at Trump's behavior as erratic and do not want to invest in crypto until it's understood what's happening with crypto specifically. And I will say that Trump's tariffs and all that kind of stuff, it seems to be calming down a bit. I mean, I guess we'll see. And internationally, investors look like they're getting a little bit more comfortable investing again. So hopefully that the bottle's been uncorked, and we'll see. The partner's actually talking to the right people now. The numbers are starting to roll in, and hopefully one of these days we'll be able to be way more clear about what we're doing. But I can just say it's good news. I don't want to say anything imminent. I don't want to say anything happened. I think because I can't, but I see good news.
I think we can say that they are securing. I think we can say partnerships, right? Like they're connecting with big names of the industry, so that whenever they secure completely their financial objectives, the strategy in place will be extremely valuable. Unfortunately, it's still not the time we say that we secured the financial objective yet. Like we're really working with them for them to reach that, but it is not the only thing, right? Like if you have just money and you throw it randomly on the market, you will probably just dump it and lose it on scammers.
Just give it to me.
Yeah. So
it's a waste of money.
It's really they're doing it right. They are associating with the right people, and so basically it is taking place. I think what you said is interesting about external or international investors in US. However, I think it is getting more precise, right? It's very clear that the Trump administration wants to welcome investment. And I think the statement that we just talked about from the SEC is also going 100% in that direction. And I think the partner, it will also improve the narrative of the partner, because now this freedom to build this technology and the the removing the uncertainty about the regulation around this activity will definitely boost their
foreign investor confidence, without a doubt. So I think that's a lot of why we had that election. We didn't know, no one knew who was going to win. I mean, like up until the day, it wasn't sure. And I know Trump likes to say it was a landslide. He's got a mandate, but let's face it, that's not what that was. And then he's been kind of like talking a lot, but really like this, I think now maybe we can see some encouragement in the international investors that like the road ahead for crypto in America is clear. Again, with those warnings I pointed out before, like opening up all of crypto and calling it DeFi opens it up to some problems. But I don't think we have to worry about that for now.
But I think
not EU
decided to help US. They're banning self-custody. They're banning everything. So trying to help US grow their market share.
I think that's smart. But then again, I'm biased, of course.
All right. So that's all. I think that's the update.
That's it. I think there won't be any events, or I think you're staying around for the next couple of months because it's actually more.
Let me talk about that for a second. Yeah. So the next big events that I'm following the partner to is in Korea and Singapore, and that's not until end of September. And so between here and September, there might be some smaller events, and it depends on some things that happen. There might be some other ones that are international that I might have to go to, but for now, for the next few months, there's kind of a break in events that are happening.
I think crypto is a little calmer during summer, and then it picks back up usually in September. I mean, that's what I've seen in the last years I've been in crypto, and I don't think it will be different this time. We'll try to bring some analysis of other projects, other approach to side chains, explain how Divi does it better, and we'll move forward with that.
Exactly.
All right, guys.
Everyone.
Thanks a lot.
It's good talking with you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now.